Pike County Fiscal Court is called to order. Madam Clerk, have a roll call of the members, please.
Judge Rutherford. Present. Magistrate Anderson.
Here.
Magistrate Johnson. Here. Magistrate Murphy.
Here.
Magistrate Robinson. Here. Magistrate Dotson.
Here.
Magistrate Harris.
Here.
We have a quorum. We'll next have the Pledge of Allegiance led by Magistrate Murphy, a veteran.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We always appreciate Pike TV, and we're testing a little new system today because we want to have as professional a station that we can have. And when I've been turning my head, this microphone has not been picking me up. So they have a new setup today with one here and one there to see if in the future that it would be better so that the thousands of people that watch Pike TV and this court meeting can hear the sound. Next, we have approval of the minutes on January the 13th and January the 31st. And Jeannie and I have reviewed those. You have it in your packet. And if there are not any additions to it or corrections, we found it to be correct. And Rose, you do a magnificent job, and glad you're back today with us.
Thank you.
So I need a motion to approve the minutes.
Motion.
Have a motion, Magistrate Anderson. Have a second, Magistrate Johnson. Have a roll call vote, please.
Magistrate Anderson.
Yes.
Magistrate Johnson.
Yes.
Magistrate Murphy.
Yes.
Magistrate Robinson. Yes. Magistrate Dotson.
Yes.
Magistrate Harris.
Yes.
Judge Rutherford.
Magistrate Harris, you wanted to make, under public comments, you had
I did have a brief
something you wanted
public
to do.
comment, Judge. I'd like to ask Larry Blackburn if he would to come up to the podium for just a moment. Judge, I did this under public comments because I want to do this as a member of the public, not necessarily as a magistrate. There are times in your life when you see things going on that you know are good for your community, good for those that are around you, good for the people that you live with and that you work with. And I take a lot of pride in the way my community takes care of itself. We have people that get out to pick up garbage and do things to try to make their community look a little bit better. And the guy that's standing here next to me is one of those people. Larry Blackburn, for the last, I'd say, 10 years, Larry, has been mowing the grass as you come into the state of Kentucky. You know, first impressions are hard to break. And when people come into the Commonwealth of Kentucky, to have garbage along the side of the road and weeds growing everywhere would be embarrassing. And this guy, Larry Blackburn, who lives in South Williamson, he takes and donates his own time. He donates his own equipment. He donates his own gas. He's never asked the county for a penny. He's never wanted a thank you, never wanted anything other than to make his community a little bit better place. And I think if we don't honor people like that, we're not doing our job as members of the public. And this doesn't have anything to do with being a magistrate. This is just me, Chris Harris, as a member of the public. And so I presented his name to the governor and asked that the governor honor him by making him a Kentucky colonel, and he was gracious enough to do that. So Larry, on behalf of all the people of Pike County, thank you for keeping our county looking good, and thank you for all that you've done for the last 10 years. And this is a presentation by the governor of Kentucky, Kentucky Colonel.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Let's everybody stand and give Mr. Blackburn a hand. What a great county we have, and what a great people we have. Next, we need to acknowledge the sheriff's settlement for 212 unmined coal taxes, August 1, 12 to August 5, 2013. Do I have a motion acknowledging Magistrate Robinson? To have a second? Magistrate Anderson, have a roll call vote, please.
Magistrate Anderson.
Yes.
Magistrate Johnson.
Yes.
Magistrate Murphy.
Yes.
Magistrate Robinson. Magistrate Dodson.
Yes.
Magistrate Harris.
Yes.
Judge Rutherford.
Yes. Acknowledge receipt of the Big Sandy Regional Industrial Development Authority, Biz Rita, 2013 audit. Do I have a motion, please? I have a motion by Magistrate Johnson. I have a second. Magistrate Murphy, have a roll call vote, please.
Magistrate Anderson.
Yes.
Magistrate Johnson.
Yes.
Magistrate Murphy.
Yes.
Magistrate Robinson. Magistrate Dodson.
Yes.
Magistrate Harris.
Yes.
Judge Rutherford.
Yes. Acknowledge the receipt of the Big Sandy Area Development District audit financial statements for year ending June 30, 2013. Do I have a motion?
Motion acknowledge.
Have a motion. Have a second. Magistrate Robinson, have a roll call vote, please.
Magistrate Anderson.
Yes.
Magistrate Johnson.
Yes.
Magistrate Murphy.
Yes.
Magistrate Robinson. Magistrate Dodson.
Yes.
Magistrate Harris.
Yes.
Judge Rutherford.
Yes. Let me say that the first time, and I've been here quite a few years, that is the first, you CPAs will look at me and agree with me. That is the first completely clean audit that I've ever seen in my life. Mrs. Runyon, who's director, and her CPA, an accountant. We just got a new one at the ad, Mr. Whiting, retired, but amazing. Not one thing, not one recommendation, anything was raised in the audit. It amazed the executive board, Judge Hayes was there, it amazed them, that is the county judge executives, these 5 counties and others that was in that meeting that this had taken place. Mrs. Runyon, who of course is a resident of this county, lives here, and her staff is certainly to be commended. Acknowledge the receipt of the Pikeville Pike County Airport Board audited financial statements year ending June 30, 2013. To have a motion to acknowledge the receipt of, you have a motion, I have a second. I have a second. Magistrate Murphy, have a roll call vote, please.
Magistrate Anderson.
Yes.
Magistrate Johnson.
Yes.
Magistrate Murphy.
Yes.
Magistrate Robinson.
Yes.
Magistrate Dodson.
Yes.
Magistrate Harris.
Yes.
Judge
Yes.
Rutherford.
Next, we have on the agenda, and I want to start by making a statement, and I made some notes because I wanted to be correct, and I reviewed some files, and I reviewed newspaper clippings, and I reviewed court orders that Rose could put her hands on and her fingers on a project that we're going to, that a committee that I'm on has recommended that we move forward on. First, back in 1906, I said this, and it's in public print, that Purdue Farmer is responsible for bringing the grief and death to our community in the form of Oxycontin or oxycodone. Every family in Pike County has experienced death. The illegal and legal prescription drugs has been a heartache and a sad story in this county and in our community. Not one person sitting in this courtroom, including myself, has not had somebody involved in what I'm talking about, and that is the scourge of drugs. Scourge of drugs in 2006, I was not even in office at that time, marked the invasion of Purdue Farmer in Pike County. They began marketing highly addictive prescription opium as a safe and non-addictive drug to our medical community in Pike County. I seen and continue to see and feel the pain every day. I called for bold action, and at that time, I said, Purdue Farmer, ought to be sued in the Pike Circuit Court, and that we ought to get a court order for them to stop selling that drug in this county. When I came into office in 2007, this county was crippled by drug addiction, which threatened the very future of this county. Good people, young and alike, hooked. This fiscal court took up the battle by appropriating funds for the sheriff of our county for undercover work, for work at a time when we had severance tax money available and money in the budget available. Jeannie Robinson set up appointments, and we went to DEA headquarters, department in Washington, D.C., and met with the head of DEA, the head and his staff. I was accompanied by that meeting with Magistrate Harris. While we was at that meeting, they was informed of a pill mill in another state. It was exposed to them. Years later, a conviction was got on that pill mill, and they are in the federal penitentiary today. This program that we are proposing for this court participates in comes from funds from that lawsuit that was settled in Washington, in New York City, by Gary Johnson and I. Folks, the law wasn't on our side in this suit. They wasn't on the side, but the moral issue, the debts and the pain that our people was going through was on our side. Gary Johnson played a 25-minute video to lawyers from Atlanta, lawyers from Connecticut, and the Washington lawyers of Purdue Farmer. What a sad thing for even them to sit through. A Pike County, coal business, 20 trucks, nice home, nice family. Lost his business, lost his family, went to penitentiary. He told the story. A woman in Letcher County, church-going lady, Christian lady, goes to her doctor, gets hooked on OxyContin. Didn't lose her life, nearly lost her life. Looked like today, she's not that old. She looked 30 years older than she really is. She went to penitentiary, lost her children. State has them. Story after story. When we finished, the head counsel for Purdue Farmer said, "We don't want to come to Pike County. We'd like to settle this case while you all are up here. We don't want to come down and face the court of the people of Pike County." 8 o'clock in the morning, 8:30 in the evening, we settled that case for $4 million. When I had the idea to serve and went to counsel of John Doug Hayes of his 42 years as an attorney at this bar, and I said, who in the world could we get to take this case? He said, "There only one fellow that has experience, that's sharp enough to put up with the battery of lawyers that Purdue Farmer will put up against you. And that's Gary C. Johnson." I went to his office, closed the door in his conference room, and said, "Mr. Johnson, I want to sue Purdue Farmer. My family's been touched, and the scourge of these drugs that we've got to sue them." He said, well, he closed his eyes. And then he said, "I can't turn you down. I have the problem in my family as you said you had in yours. And everybody else has got it," he said. I said, "Mr. Johnson, we don't have the money, Pike Fiscal Court, to put up $300,000. He said, my firm will do that. He came over to a closed meeting with the county attorney, Judge Hayes, and myself, and asked the magistrate to hire him, that he would take the case. And you have an order on here that was voted by this court on the monitor for you to look at. It was unanimous that we hire him and that we start a suit. He predicted that day that this suit would go to federal court, that their attorneys around the country had the power to put it in federal court, and that's what happened. But we went to Prestonsburg that day to the Attorney General of the Commonwealth, Greg Stumbo, met with him, and I said, Mr. Attorney General, the council and I feel that you ought to sue Purdue Farmer for the state of Kentucky like we're doing. The council says, his first look at it, you all got a case that's ironclad. All you have to do is push your computer. It's called Medicare. And he picked up the phone, called his staff in Frankfurt, said, check this out. He called back to Magistrate Johnson. He reported back that they're going to file a suit, set up a news conference in Pikeville, set one up, and we'll set one up in mine. We'll have it in the morning. We'll fly to Frankfurt. We'll have another. We'll file the suit together. And that's what happened. It goes to New York, Antitrust Division of the federal court. They don't have anything to do with the people dying in this county. Nothing whatsoever. Stayed almost 7 years. Gary Johnson fought that battle. We had to give him a good percentage, as Judge Hayes said, because you couldn't get an attorney put up $300,000 and fight the battle he fought. But we went to New York, and here is the local newspaper's accounts of it, right here. The local paper headline, folks, it made headlines nationwide. We're the only county in the United States of America that got a judgment against this company that put that scourge all over this country, especially in this area of Central Appalachia, where you had the pain from coal mining and where you had the pain from drilling. You had the pain here, and they sold our medical community on the greatest drug for pain in the history and got good people, young and old, hooked on it. So it is, we are recommending today on the third floor of the courthouse. And we've had meeting after meeting after meeting. And Jeannie, I think you have it prepared for us to bring up on the monitor the list of names of people who attended these meetings. Folks, if you look at that, you had our elected representatives and senator, and you had Bill Byrd, who's on the board of Westcare. Everybody knows Westcare. They operate the facility at the jail. With the jailer presently in-house, they have a facility at Ashgate. And remember what the uproar was when they bought the old school at Ashgate? It'll never work. They've never been a complaint in years, and we're glad to have that facility. We know that law enforcement just a part of it, but rehabilitation is a part of it. And getting back into the community is a part of it. Getting them early is a part of it. What a court system we have here with Judge Friends and Judge Mullins, with knowing firsthand the situation. When the judicial building was approved, we started meeting. And with the Westcare, they brought people here from Las Vegas, Mr. Steinberg. They brought people from Chicago. They brought people from Atlanta to meet with us. And we came up with a name for this facility. And I did have that in my packet. The correct name is PrEP. I hope that it's in here, Jeannie, so that I can make sure that I use the correct name today. But I don't see it. So, Judge Haber, would you have PrEP? let's give them the correct name of it.
It is prep.
Jenny, would you go get that for us so that I can make sure that the record of this court has the correct name? I think you have it in your file. If you will read it to us, we will proceed and
think
talk
it's-
about the Pike County,
Reentry program.
Pike
Judge.
County
Pike
Reentry
County
Partnership Program, which is PREP. The proposed facility will operate on the third floor of the Pike County Detention Center, the courthouse annex, and serve as a minimum security drug addiction rehab facility. Misdemeanor offenders and federal offenders, am I right? I think I'm right. Federal offenders can be taken into this facility also in the future. PREP plans to house 68 female beds, and let me explain. They have an in-house program now, not the reentry program, but they have an in-house counseling program in-house now. And once that we construct the 120 bed for males on the floor, then that 68 bed will be for female, and this will serve for male and female. As alternative to prison and the jail, folks, we contribute $4 million plus to the jail every year. We can successfully demonstrate during the time that you're in here with the cooperation of the jailer and his staff and WestCare that we are rewriting the wrongs with the money from Purdue Farmer to put these people back into the community. You'll see the area on here that would be used for this facility. It is what an opportunity this is. Take their own money and build a rehab facility. Take Purdue Farmers' death money and turn it into something good for our people. And you know, I looked at some statistics about 5:30 this morning, and about 70% of the people in the penitentiary on felony offenses are first-time offenders. I didn't realize that. I did realize, Rodney Scott, that the people incarcerated in your jail through our court system of these judges here, that on non-related drug charges, that 80% was caused by drugs or related to drugs. I knew that off the top of my head. So what an opportunity that we have to build a facility. This court in 2007 has fought this scourge of this county time and time again and voted to set this money aside for a rehab facility when we brought the money back from Purdue Pharma and got the check and delivered it to the treasurer of this county. This court voted. The purpose is, and it's the order, if you'll bring it back up on here, I think Master Harris was not, he was absent that day and didn't vote in it, but the court voted to set this money aside for that, for the construction of a drug rehabilitation facility in this county. This was my vision from the beginning. It was Gary Johnson's vision. He told those attorneys, 3 from Connecticut, 3 from New York, and 2 from Atlanta, that battery of lawyers against us, that we want to build a rehab facility with your all's money for this scourge we got that you brought up on Pike County. They was told we was going to spend their own money. So what I want to do today is to make a motion that we retain the services of Summit Engineering and Architects, and that we hire Codell Construction as the construction manager for this project. Let me go on. Dan, if you have on here, you need to pull up for the pre-app. It was the first one on this. A application is pending today, before the ARC for some matching money to make sure that this facility, there's the pre-app, that make sure that this facility, and it is for $1 million, to add it to the $2.4 million that we have set aside by this court for a rehabilitation facility. That is pending, hadn't been acted on. We talked to Frankfurt, it is still to being considered. We're hopeful to be funded. But, Dan, do you have on here the answer to the editorial in the local paper from the Attorney General? If you would get that, Jeannie, I'd like for that to be put up for the people on Pike TV to see today. If you would get that from, I think it's on Dan's desk, I want that put up. As you're aware, there was recently a settlement, and Pike County didn't get any money out of that settlement on a related case to another drug company, not Purdue Pharma, and it was for millions of dollars. The Attorney General allocated money to a facility in Ashland, Kentucky, and he set aside for the thing that these district judges has said that it's a key to what they do, and that is scholarships, pay to send the addicts when they have to be committed. That was available through the Attorney General. So when the paper rightly so, and Mr. Cassidy, I commend you all for doing it, because the Attorney General answered that editorial back. And if you all hadn't done that, I couldn't tell the people of this county and this court what he said in that. And if they get it back in time, I'll read it to you. It said that he didn't leave Pike County out. And these magistrates know we was sitting in a meeting with 1,200 people in Louisville. When I was sitting there with some of these magistrates and the Attorney General was speaking, and he called me out in the back and said, we have a case in Pike Circuit Court. That's the case Greg Stumbo filed as Attorney General. I'm going to go up there and try that case myself. And he said, the judge and the fiscal court has a project that I'm going to participate in. Well, we do. We have this project, and folks, we have $90,000 of money through this court that bought the Lookout School for a women's facility. And Wall Street fell, and that project put on hold. Sure, we need that money. When Mr. Cassidy in that paper wrote that, and Attorney General answered it, he's got in the last paragraph. Folks, I'm committed to projects where people have been hurt by Purdue Pharma. My understanding, that case is in mediation. My understanding, it is. Attorney General saw me over here at SOAR. He said, Judge, I want to commend you and Gary Johnson and the Pike County Fiscal Court for your settlement in New York of $4 million. He said, but that was not, he said that case in New York that was brought back here, he said, look, we're going to get a settlement. You all didn't have the law on your side. You had the moral issue. We got the law and the moral issue, Judge. And our case, we're starting to, if we do mediation with him, we'll start at $400 million. Folks, they paid a fine over to Abington 4.5 years ago of $386 million to Central Appalachia for what they had done to Central Appalachia. So we have money in the pipeline coming to us, but we got to do our part. We got to get started. We want these architects and engineers to engineer the fully completeness of this facility. And then we want to start phase one and start it just as quick as we can. We still got the problem. Not as bad. The legislature, the governor, the attorney general has stopped the pipeline. I'll have to say Chris Harris in our meeting in Washington stopped that one pipeline out of West Virginia, right at our back door. So what an opportunity it is for us. So I want to make a motion, I want every magistrate to have their say, but I want to make the motion now that we hire Summit Engineers, architects and engineers, and Codell Construction as construction manager and get started.
Judge, I'd
And
like
I
to
need a
second that
second,
motion.
and then we will let the magistrate, the
You're
second to
done.
Magistrate Johnson. Now I will start with District 1 and go through the magistrates.
Judge, I'd like to thank you for your speech. I think you hit on a lot of topics that needed to be spoken about today. I suppose the only question I have on the construction firm, is that something that needs to be bid out, or?
Don't have to be bid when you hire a construction management company, and they bid it out.
Okay, I mean, so their fee, is that?
Yeah.
Fee? Okay. I'll vote yes for the project.
Magistrate Johnson.
Judge, I think this is a good thing for this because it's a site here at Pike County that all the young people and old and all has been affected by this drug problem in Pike County. And it's been going on for too long. And it needs to be stopped. And if we got somewhere to help these people, young and old, to get in this place to get themselves better and get their minds back and try to get back in life.
Thank you,
Oh,
Magistrate
yes.
Johnson. Magistrate Murphy.
Well, there's not a whole lot we can add what you said and Chick said here, but it's a great thing, and hopefully people can get rehabilitated and everything and get back to their normal walks of life. If we can just get a few done, it'd be worthwhile.
Thank you,
Yes.
Magistrate Murphy. Magistrate Robinson.
I vote yes on it because I've seen what drugs can do to these kids in these cars. I've seen a lot of them killed. I vote yes.
Magistrate Dodson.
Judge, I probably think it's one of the best things that we've done in a long, long time. And I commend you and Gary Johnson and the court and the judges for their accomplishment. But also, you know, I think the magistrates were left out in the cold on this.
Pull those
arrangements out
newspaper
here.
articles back up, would you please, so we can have them on the board? This is a local paper, Magistrate Dodson.
Do what?
This is the local papers, these,
I understand that, Judge, and I understand y'all been having some meetings on where you're going to with this and what you're doing with it. And it would've been nice if we had been able to sit down and discuss the building, because there's a debt service on the Hall of Justice. And, you know, we are getting ready to go into our budget season, and it would be nice to know how this is going to be funded and what obligations we're going to have toward this new facility. But I think it's one of the best things that we've ever done. And just this past week, Judge Friend was able to give me some numbers to help a young man to get some recovery. And Judge Friend, I thank you for that. And it's always good to have a contact that you can call and get help when you get a call that needs some help. But, you know, Judge, I just feel like it would have been a lot better in your meetings. I guess you had one yesterday with some people to include the court so we would know where we were going and what we need to do to make sure we put this in our next budget.
Jeannie is doing a list that she's contacted the magistrate's office and our directors and commissions for our state legislators, and that's one of the things that's at the top of the list. Chick, it comes at the same level as the problem we have up in Shelby Valley. So we are going to discuss that with our legislators. Governor Patton has told me several times that he didn't intend that burden to fall to the Pike County Fiscal Court on that state leased building for a state system. And he said, I was just so busy as governor and I left and didn't get that taken care of. That's what Magistrate Dotson's talking about. We still owe some, Madam Finance Director and the Treasurer, on that building. But that will go on the list for our legislators to consider at this session they're in. And I wrote a memo to Jeannie and said about a third of the session's over and we need to go ahead and finish that. And we have been informed by the legislators our severance tax is going to be way down low on the money that comes to us, the 12%. And, but they want to have a lot of smaller projects throughout the county, and I guess that's up to them. But they asked to keep that in mind as we went through our departments and through our commissioners and directors and the magistrates, and our foremans out there that can have input also of the major needs in this county. So hopefully that can be taken care of by the legislature. They should have taken care of that debt service before. Now we need it taken care of. Magistrate Harris.
Judge, thank you. First, I want to say that I fully support the PrEP initiative. I think it's a great idea. I did have some questions that I wanted to get cleared up because, you know, also I've not been involved in any of the discussions leading up to today, and this is the first time I've got to see this document that was in our packet, the agreement between the owner and architect with a predefined scope. But I guess the first question that I have about the process is, do we have a commitment from somebody to operate this facility once it's built?
Yes, we do. Westcare's vice president is here today. They have a commitment. They have attended every session. They're on the committee with the jailer and the judges. And Bill Bird, who's on the Westcare's board, they've attended all the meetings with us. And they're on board. They operate the jail program now in cooperation with our jailer, and they are committed. This will be the only program. They operate programs in California and San Diego and San Francisco. They operate at the Cook County Jail. They operate in Danville, Kentucky. But this will be a different type reentry program. Program be different. It'll be a whole together different program. Be a new concept, which the leadership of Westcare, which are the leaders in rehabilitation in the country, feels that this will be a model for the rest of the country. And we have spent hours discussing and meeting, and Mr. Steinberg has made trip after trip before Jeff Cottle, who a former state police captain here in this county, who got him a law degree, passed the bar, and they hired him. Sent him to Las Vegas, and we've helped bring him back home. He lives up Shelbyana, up behind the Grace Baptist Church. But folks, this is going to lead, according to Mr. Steinberg, once this facility's in, once we get it in line to finish the women's facility at Lookout with that facility at Ash Camp, that's going to lead them to build a eastern headquarters in Pikeville, Kentucky. That's on the drawing board, not final, no decision been made by their big board. But that's in the planning stage, is to operate in central Appalachia, which has been hit hard by Purdue farmers.
So the costs to operate, it would be just like the Lookout facility. There wouldn't be any additional cost to the county once the facility is constructed. I mean, I understand we have construction costs, but you know, we don't have any operational costs.
If you'll come over to that first chair, if you all will pull that mic over to him. Mr. Cottle is the vice president of Westcare and one of us, and he fought this problem from the police side. He knows the law enforcement side. He understands the rehabilitation side. Mr. Cottle, Magistrate Hart had a question for you. You need him to repeat it? Did you hear it?
No, sir. Thank you, Judge Rutherford, Mr. Harris. The Westcare is paid through the state. It doesn't come from the county. There's a, as far as people who are in the program, there is a dollar amount, I believe. Ours is $9 a day per person, and that's how we operate. So no money would be forthcoming from the county.
Okay. So the kind of the commitment that we have from Westcare is that if we build this, that you all would come in and operate it, and it would not be a cost, an additional cost to the county for what you all did, your operations there in the old Hall of Justice.
Yes, sir.
Okay, that answers the biggest question that I had. I appreciate.
Any other questions,
very
Madam
much.
Attorney?
Yeah, the only
County
other
Attorney, you
question
have
that
a
I
question.
had was,
Go right ahead.
the money that's the settlement money, and I was absent when the settlement was announced. Is the settlement money, is that designated in the order that it's to be used for this, or is that just a requirement that we as a court said we're gonna settle this case and we're gonna
We
use
would have
the
to
money?
come back to the court once it's funded, and you all would take action for this money to go into this project, and any excess money go into Lookout.
Judge, if I may, Magistrate Harris, as I understand your question, are you saying is that in any order when they settled this matter at mediation?
Right. Were
I
we
asked that-
required-
I asked that question yesterday or the day before. It's not required as a result of the mediation itself. It's not in the mediation agreement.
Okay, so that's not one of that's a stipulation we kind of put on ourselves. It's not a stipulation that the court said you have to use this money for, okay.
Mr. Harris, as I said before, Counsel Johnson told the attorneys for them that this money would be used for rehabilitation. They did not put it in the settlement document.
Well, I'm fully supportive of the idea and the concept. I just thought that it's something that we should at least bring out and discuss the fact. I mean, I'm not going to be on this court past this year, but the obligations, the financial obligations that we have at the old courthouse are going to be an issue. And with the financial situation that we're in, I thought we at least needed to bring that out and consider that as an option. I'm still in favor of supporting the use of the funds for the PrEP program, but I do, just think that we need to at least have that discussion and make sure everybody's aware that that there are financial responsibilities that we're going to have in the coming years by virtue of the new courthouse, which is a fantastic facility. And I hope that we're able to get some money from the state to satisfy that the bonded indebtedness that we took on when we added on to the jail and moved the court system over to the new judicial center. That's just, I'm still in favor of it. I just thought that we needed to have that discussion and make sure everybody understood that, because again, I'm not going to be on the court. That's something, budgets, the coming year budgets are budgets that, you all will have to.
And trying to find some files. Folks, I found these in my file on this right here. You all know what that is. That's some funerals that I went to of people in this county that died with this scourge. I bet you in 2 years that I went to 50 or 60 funerals in this county of young and old alike. And this scourge, this Purdue farmer brought on our people. And for some reason, I stuck these on this and had them in my file at the house on Purdue farmer. And that's just very few. When I'd been an honorary pallbearer, I didn't have the one where people was close to me had died, where I'd been an extra pallbearer at the funeral. But, Madam Clerk, I want to abstain my vote because I have a family member that's employed by Codell, and we do that. Magistrates do that, and I do that on occasion. And you've heard how I feel about this, and it ought to be done. So let the record show that I abstain in this vote because I have a family member.
Judge, I've got another question. How many
Already did
beds,
your vote as they went.
how many beds are we gonna be able to have in the facility, after it's completed?
Come around, Mr. Jailer. The jailer has been involved in every meeting that we've had. He has been involved by pushing Frankfurt to fund this program, and from the get-go, he realized what we needed in his jail as far as counseling, and and that was set up through this court, and it has worked. The recidivism that people going back in has been hard to believe on the data that we've looked at. But Mr. Jailer, Magistrate Dotson had a question. Did you hear it, or you need him to repeat it?
Somewhere around 120 beds.
120 beds.
Uh-huh. These would be minimum security. Right now, we have 68 beds for men, 14 for women. What the plan is to move the men to the 3rd floor and the women to the 68-bed facility that we have now for the men. West Care, back to Magistrate Harris's question, kind of touch on his question there. The state pays us right at $31 a day to house these inmates. The only ones right now that can get in drug treatment at the jail through West Care, they have to be a convicted felon. They have to be a state inmate. West Care has agreed, like Jeff said, the state pays West Care $9 per inmate that's in that program. That's $9 a day. So what West Care has agreed, even if the state does not fill those 120 beds, the judges, the circuit and district judges, can take misdemeanors and put in those beds, and they will get their treatment, and West Care will eat the cost as long as there's beds available. So, you know, everybody's got somebody they want to help. So if you can keep them out of jail the long term, if you can catch them, you know, doing a misdemeanor, you know, just like, you know, it costs thousands of dollars to send somebody for treatment. They can get their 6-month treatment at the jail, maybe for no cost.
Any other
Jailer
questions?
Scott, talking to you earlier, you didn't think this was enough funding to build this facility. You'd talked to some people trying to get some more funding. Have you been able to come up, and do we have enough to complete what we're going to do?
There has been a grant applied for $1 million. Is that right, Judge? Is that
Yes.
the way it is? That and, you know, the Attorney General's lawsuit, which hope will bring some of that money back here that could pay off the rest of the debt.
But right now, we stand at, what, 2.4 million?
$2.4 million, phase 1 of this project, which goes a long way, and then, but this will fill up immediately. Both this facility and Lookout will fill up just as quick as it's built and opened. They'll come in, these judges can tell you. West Care data reveals that. If it don't fill up with our local people, then under this, we can take them from other counties. They don't have anything like this. We can take them from other counties and other states.
Thank you, Rod.
Could I just say one thing? In my going on 16 years as jailer, starting in late 2005, which the program didn't actually start until about April of 2006, you know, when we partnered with West Care. This is probably one of the most things I'm proud of. It's touched so many people. It's saved so many lives.
Great program.
We started with 8 beds in April of 2006. Then we went to 32 beds. Then we went to 56 beds. Now we're up to 68 beds. Over the last 5 years, since late 2008, we've averaged 105 graduates, male, per year. So that's over 500 people, you know, in the last 5 years that has got treatment that otherwise they may have not got. 70-some% of those people have not been back in jail.
Correct. It's unbelievable.
70% of those people have got, within 12 months, have had a working job. So, you know, like I said, this is, of my time as being jailer, this is probably the one thing that I'm most proud of.
Ronnie, we thank you, we thank the sheriff and this court for the battle that we fought together in regard to this scourge that Purdue Farmer brought upon our people.
have a
Dick
question,
Johnson
Judge.
referred to the coal industry, they couldn't hire people. Walmart couldn't get people. Food City opened up a new store, and 2/3 of them couldn't pass the drug test, and on and on and on.
Judge, I have a question. Is West Care going to help offset the increased cost of the utilities? Because AOC would only be an 8-hour day. This is going to be a 24/7 as the jail, so therefore the cost of the utilities are going to increase.
We'll be glad to get into that discussion and have you present to ask that question, because we're getting ready to set up another meeting.
Judge, if I may, when we initially met on
Had
this,
you?
one of the, in addition to the rehabilitation aspect, which was the most important aspect, this was supposed, designed and envisioned jailer to be, and Judge Friend, to be a very cost-effective facility, in that those beds that we would be filling would be filled in large part with the higher-paying inmates. Am I correct on that, Jailer Scott? And that financial benefit, to indirectly answer your question, was to help offset what this court has to pay or put in the budget for the jail operation. It was supposed to give us some relief. Jailer Scott, and you may want to agree or disagree, but that's what we talked about initially. Is that correct?
Because basically right now what West Care does is whatever their expenses are is all the money we get back, and there's not anything going towards the jail at this point.
John, did we include the bill from the Hall of Justice in with this other stuff that we'd done last year on a loan to make one payment? Or are we still making separate payments to the Hall of
It
Justice?
was refinanced.
It was refinanced.
Everything was put in together.
Yes.
So, Judge, you know, we were told this week to get
I still break it out though separately. I know how much each one of them paid off at the time we reissued the bonds, so I can still break it out based on the ones we put together, so I know what each one of them come into with to charge back off to them.
Judge, we were all asked to get a wish list together this week for our co-severance money, the way we would like to see it spent. And if the court would agree, I think that should be our number one priority, is our debt service
It's up here, it's on top.
And
And
you
Jeannie
know,
will be preparing that and getting it to them the next few days.
but I think that would be
It'll be
important on our
it'll be
next
up to
budget.
top. Next, we have awarding of bids. You have any? No bids? Magistrate Road Work, Magistrate Anderson. Have a motion, Magistrate Anderson. Have a second by Magistrate Robinson. Have a roll call vote, please.
Magistrate Anderson,
Yes.
Magistrate Johnson.
Yes.
Magistrate Murphy.
Yes.
Magistrate Robinson.
Yes.
Magistrate Dotson.
Yes.
Magistrate Harris.
Yes.
Judge Ruth.
Yes.
Judge, we had the judges here. I don't know if they wanted to say anything
Either-
about
both
the
of you
program.
judges, I agree with Magistrate Anderson, that we've been trying to get you out of here so you get back to court, but you all want to come around before we do it. Both of you make a statement, and they have been integrally a part of this from the get-go, and they know as much about this as I know. Those two fellows right there. Judge Mullen.
Well, it's good to be here addressing the court, and I think that this project is something that's long overdue. And as you said, Judge Rutherford, the facility will be filled because the problem is everywhere. Everyone knows someone or has someone in their family that has a problem with drug addiction. Kelsey and I see it on a day-to-day basis. So does our county attorney. He deals with those situations. And whatever we can do to help, we need to do. The problem is, in the past, has been that someone would come in, I need help, and there's nowhere to go. And you've got to strike when the iron is hot. When that person is asking for help, you need to reach out and help them any way that you can. Our jailer is aware of that. And the answer is not to put them in jail. as that's the popular opinion, but I was listening on the radio last night on NBC. Jail does not work. You need treatment. Treatment is the answer, because then they don't come back into court. As Rodney said, 70% rate, that's pretty good. That's real good. And if you can have an impact on somebody's life where you turn them around, return them to their family, get their kids back, and have them working at a good paying job, then you've made a difference. You've done what we are sent here to do as public servants. Our business is basically taking care of our county, taking care of our people, and making their lives better. And I'll let Kelsey address.
Judge Friend, I can recall of a prayer that you did once when I was president, asking the Lord to give people wisdom to do all they could in regard to this drug situation that you all face in the court system with the county attorney's office and your all's. But I was moved by that when I heard your prayer.
Well, all I want to say, in addition to what everybody has said, simply this: people are dying. Our people are so infirmed that we have to wait until they get to be convicted felons before we destroy their lives, and they're basically unemployable. As Jailer Scott has said, the progress that has been made in the West Care treatment program is such that 70% of their graduates have been able to find employment. But unfortunately, the employment is such that it is no more than minimum wage. So what we are offering to the court is the prospect to address these empty beds with misdemeanors, something Judge Mullins and I have never been able to do, simply because of the constraints the state has placed on the West Care program. The West Care program, in supplement to that, has agreed to take these people at no cost to the jail or to the county. It is a win-win situation in all aspects. And so I compliment not only my county attorney, who has been so supportive of the efforts we have done, but I compliment this court for the wisdom you've shown today to say, we're going to make a difference in this county. We're no longer going to turn our backs and say, we can't. We're being overcome by, as you have described so ably, the scourge of drug addiction. So it has been my heart since I've been a district judge, Judge Mullins' heart since we've been judges together, that we would make a difference. And we thank you for joining with us.
Thank you. Mr. County Attorney, let me say a county attorney and Roland Case, his assistant, they've been to every meeting. They've been involved in this. They've been helped. They knew it firsthand because they're in the court system. So, Mr. County Attorney.
Thank you, all you honorables, all you judges. They say a good lawyer knows the law and a great lawyer knows the judges, so it's quite an honor to know all these judges. When I left the judiciary in 1996, I wasn't as bad as a guy said on KET, one of our congressman said I was the other night, mentioned an ethics violation that I had 20 years ago, and I want to apologize to everybody for something I did 20 years ago, but that aside, when I left, I said their biggest problem with our district court was no consistency, and I felt bad leaving and taking this position, but I got over it. That's the hardest job I ever did was district judge. I was probably too young for it. I grayed a little bit during that time, as these guys have. But when I left, I said we need some consistency. We had never had two district judges in the history of this county ever serve out their 4 years together. And we've been fortunate to have two district judges serve together, I believe, at least 15 years, 14, 15 years together, and have been a strong force for change in this county. And seeing Mr. Cottle over here, he's like my wife. He married to Pike County and came over and joined us. And my wife been from over there where he's from, and he's the right person at the right place at the right time. And this facilities are at the right place at the right time. Judge Rutherford has those things there. He was a pallbearer at my dad's funeral 30 years ago, and Dad had the old drug, alcohol disease, and we lost him at a young age. And then last year I lost my niece, and Judge Friend sent her to a rehab facility, and I dropped her off down Lexington. She stayed clean for years and lost her last year. I don't even get emotional or cry about it anymore. It's just part of our lives. And the only thing we can do is do something about it, and everybody in this room's done a lot. I've done less than everybody here, so I appreciate everybody in this room tackling this problem.
Thank you, Mr. County Attorney. Thank you all so much. Magistrate comments, I think we've about had commented out, but we'll start over, Magistrate Anderson.
Judge, the only thing I'd like to say is we'll invite Mr. Cottle and the jailer and the two judges back anytime they want to come back and visit us.
Back
We'd be
anytime.
more than happy to have them. Appreciate y'all's help.
Magistrate Johnson. Magistrate Johnson. Do you have anything on comments? Magistrate Murphy.
Yes, the only thing we've had such bad weather, and our county employees has worked relentlessly, and I just want to thank every one of them because they've been out mostly 7 days a week for the last little while, taking care of the people, the emergencies and things like that. Again, I'd like to thank them.
Magistrate Roberts. Magistrate Dodson.
Judge, first thing I want to talk about is we're out of salt. Me and Frank's talked about it, and I don't know what the answer to it is. We cannot get these truckers to haul us salt. I guess everybody's
Mr.
out.
Hatcher.
And, you know, the people are dependent on the roads being salted and cleared. And if we can't get salt, then we can't work. I want to thank Frank for being able to get us one load from the state, and we got 25 tons from them, but we're out. And I guess the other magistrates are having the same trouble. Frank says you can't get any. You know, the truckers just won't haul it. And we entered into a contract, county attorney, with this company to supply our needs. And if they're not going to do it, what is our next alternative?
It's supposed to be 40-some degrees today. Let's just pray.
Mr. Hatcher.
Just pray. No, we probably need to find somebody else next year, work on next year. It's probably too late to do anything about it this year, isn't it?
Excuse me, once I forgot, I got a road I want to turn into Rose to give the.
Madam Clerk, would you accept from Magistrate Murphy and make it a part of the record, please?
But Judge, you know, I don't know if Frank can, or Frankie, if y'all can work with a salt company. We've got a lot of truckers that are struggling right now to make a living, and they're hauling coal to Ashland. And I'm sure they would love to drive on down to Portsmouth and bring us back a load of salt, and it would help them and help us too. Have you thought about anything like that?
Magistrate Dodson, just got off the phone with Dan. We've been going through, it's every morning I'm calling, me and my secretary, and the trucking company that the salt company contracted with is what's let us down. So they turned around last week and turned Pike County salt back to Conley Trucking, which we've had off and on for years, haven't we, Frankie? And Dan has been the most reliable truck boss that we've dealt with. But his hands have been tied because this week that we were supposed to get salt, they shut them in. Number one, snow shut them in. Number two was they were told to maintain all the states of departments, highway of Kentucky, Ohio, Indiana. They dropped Virginia. Number two problem is they got a barge down there that they couldn't get unloaded. You know, everybody hollers, I've seen that salt. Well, I've seen that salt on the side of the river too. But with the winter that we've had, and the whole United States have, they shipped their salt just about out. So, you know, Dan told me we got 2 loads coming today. By the end of the week, every road lot here ought to have their quota, their bins filled back up. You know, weather's got a whole lot to do with it. their hands are tied because they bid out their trucking just like we bid out to get a salt contract. You know, it's not that we're not doing our job, but we don't have the power to do it. We cannot send a truck across the river to get. They control us.
Mr. Hatcher.
I mean,
we
I've
have a-
done, it's every morning.
Who controls it? You know, could we send our trucks down there to get them?
No. That's what I'm saying. It's, you know, these trucking outfits don't just truck salt. You know, they truck concrete, they truck steel, they truck different stuff. You know, I'm glad we got Conley back because Conley comes to Pike County and they truck coal back to the river. But see, we don't have that power to tell them who the trucking company is.
No, but we need to tell them that we need salt because the people are expecting it. When we get a snow, they're not going to understand, why don't you have salt?
I know that, Hillman. I'm on
not
the phone
blaming
at
you.
7 o'clock
Mr.
every
Hatcher,
morning.
we have an emergency contract with Transportation Cabinet.
I've already
Have we
used
picked
that up.
up? Have we picked it up?
Yes.
I got 25 tons.
300 ton. But that's when you ran out, I sent him over, you know.
But, you know, we just.
You've got a larger salt bin than most people do in the
Yeah,
district.
but we use the same amount. You know, if you got a snow, we're all going to use about the same
This
amount
is
of
not the
salt.
first time this happened. Remember year before last when the Ohio River got up and moisturized their salt, they had stored to sell, and then they couldn't get the barges in to unload it, and here we was up here in the same situation of the magistrate just talking about.
Frankie, can you, or Frank, talk to this company and see, these coal companies around here are sending coal down to the barge. I know that they would love to go on down a few miles and pick up a load of salt and bring it back and get double pay, and we would get what we need.
Judge, I think we should start pray or something that the pretty weather would come, because if the rest of the masters right like me, that salt's eating their budgets up anyway. And
Yeah, the groundhog didn't treat it too well, did it, Chip? The groundhog saw it shattered.
Yeah, sun
6
should
more
start
weeks
shining.
of bad weather.
Hope so, anyway.
Groundhog didn't help us out any in the salt situation. Doug, what does it look like for us?
Looks like rain for the next couple of days anyway. There's a chance of snow Wednesday evening, but there's not given much of a chance.
What about this coming weekend?
The weekend, the storm system they're predicting there hasn't firmed up enough they could tell exactly if it's going to be rain or snow just yet. But right now, we're under a flood watch. It starts this afternoon through tomorrow afternoon.
Thank you, Doug. Magistrate Dodson.
Well, Judge, I didn't really, Frankie was going to comment on something.
I was just going to say, Hillman, after we had talked last time, I'd called, and that's when we got Conley Trucking, all of our orders shipped over to them. I'd called down there and talked to them, and I was hoping that would fix the problem. But like you said, it's just been a real bad winter. They've got a salt shortage. They're giving all the state DOTs the priority. So if they've got orders placed, they're putting the state road orders above ours, and all other counties too. So it's not just Pike County that they're, Conley Trucking is giving us the priority of the counties, but they're still ordered to fill the state orders first. And
Is
there's nothing
Conley
we
a
can do about that.
Paintsville-based company? Where are they based out of? Are they in Portsmouth? Okay.
Conley just don't have the trucking power to do it, in other words, what you're saying.
They've been ordered to fill the state orders before they start filling the counties and cities. They're giving the states the priority, and then it falls to the counties. Once they catch the states back up, then they start filling the counties and the cities' orders. And of the counties, we've got, with Conley Trucking, we've got about the best priority. They give us, they put us at the top of their list, but
If it gets to the point and we have more bad weather and we do not get the salt delivered, I will declare an emergency, get a hold of the governor, and ask that they make part of their salt that they're delivering first available to us.
Thank you, Judge. That's the best I've heard all morning.
We'll do that.
Maybe we can get them to.
Judge, you got to realize the state's running low too.
They have been,
Oh,
but
yeah,
Conley,
when I called him the other day and
said
and
Conley's
found out, like,
delivering
he
them
only got
first.
about 300 ton, he said, Frank, I'll give you another order, but the thing about it is, we're about out of stock.
they've been down, but
No, I mean,
Conley's
it
got
ain't-
them
it
top
ain't just
priority,
Pike
us
County
second.
that ain't
UK
got
was
no
closed
stock.
yesterday. They had 6 inches of snow yesterday down the I-64 corridor, so yeah, I'd say they're busy.
Judge, could you call and see if they'll give us an additional emergency order?
We will do that. If we get out of salt, I'll declare an emergency and get a hold of the governor since Mr. Stacy said that they're delivering theirs first, so they'll have salt.
And
Mr.
and
Harris,
I
if you
want to thank
have
you.
anything else, Hillman?
Yeah, I've got a
Go
few
right
more
ahead.
things here. This evening, John will issue Frank a check. I've contacted some different car lots and trying to find a pickup truck. We're down 2 of our small trucks. The maintenance garage said had to be junked out. They could not be fixed. Salt had eat them up. It was beyond repair. So we've been checking and trying to find a good used one. And we were able to come up with a 2007 350 four-wheel drive
Good shape.
for $11,000.
Motion by Magistrate Dotson, have a second. By Magistrate Anderson, have a roll call vote. I think you might be able to get that back. We're
think
going
Frank-
to Lexington. Maybe you can get over there and get that pickup picked up.
I
You got
think
the
Frank
check in
is going to
hand,
try
I'm
to
afraid.
pick it up and bring it back. But another thing,
Madam
Judge,
Clerk,
I ha-
have a roll call vote, please.
Magistrate Anderson?
Yes.
Magistrate Johnson?
Yes.
Magistrate Murphy?
Yes.
Magistrate Robinson?
Yes.
Magistrate Dodson?
yes.
Magistrate Harris?
Yes.
Judge Ruth?
I got
Yes,
one more
Magistrate
thing.
Dotson.
I got one more thing, and then I'm gonna be quiet. The solid waste bills is coming in over here and over there both. People are awful upset over the increase. And I want them to know that this court had no part in the increase. It was,
Oh, let me say this. We discovered that about 1,100 people in this county had been told that they didn't have to pay a garbage bill. Yesterday morning, the majority of people, which they was a bunch, converged on their office because they was given a bill to pay their garbage bill. My telephone rang off the hook. The fellow said, I was given permission 14 years ago that if I carried my garbage off the hill, I'd get no bill. And now you have to help me do that. I said, no, me or somebody else would be paying your garbage bill if you wasn't paying it. Got a call from a lady, said, I've taken mine to the lot for 12 years, and I haven't got a garbage bill because they told me I didn't need one. I said, no, you're going to have to pay a garbage bill. Somebody else paying your garbage bill. We run that lot you take it to. Heard that all day yesterday from people who was upset. Bobby has a very small staff, lost some people during the cutback. Turn that off. Lost some people doing the cutback. Yesterday had no help, and we had to call the monitors in. I'm sure they're back today at their duties. Are they back, Bobby, to the Belfry and to Phelps?
Okay, first, I do owe the court an explanation and the people in the county for everything that's been taking place. And first, Magistrate Dodson, I'd like to go back and address the cold weather issue also. We had several complaints, but Judge Rutherford and Judge Hayes and myself, when the temperatures was dropping, we had 20 below zero wind chill factors and everything, and we decided it wasn't safe to put men on the back of the trucks and go out there and try to get the garbage picked up. And two, they couldn't get up a lot of the hollers anyway due to the road conditions. Several people got frustrated with that, but I still feel like that we made the right decision on that and in trying to be good to our employees and keep them safe and protect them as much as possible. Some of them also had frozen water lines busted like everybody else, and some of them couldn't come into work. And so I do apologize for that, but it's something beyond our control on that.
Bob, that wasn't what I was talking about. You do a good job, and the employees do a good job. And I respect them men for out there on the back of that truck, and they are in all weather that we have. The question I was trying to address was the increase in our solid waste bills that the people got this year.
Yes, I will get to that. I was just saying
I just want to
wanted
let you know I wasn't
apologize to the
complaining about
citizens
the
there.
men.
Okay. Now concerning this bill, okay, when I took over in this position that you all wanted me to try to turn the solid waste around and get a balanced budget, okay? So it's a big ship to turn around, and you can't turn it without some people being frustrated. Well, in the solid waste ordinance, it gave me the power and authority to, if we needed to raise a solid waste in order for us to try to keep a balanced budget, and it was raised 75 cents. Now, yesterday, I answered the phone all day, nonstop, had no lunch. I mean, it just went all day long, like Judge Rutherford said. And the most asked questions was to me, and I probably took 200 calls yesterday. The most asked questions was 3 simple questions. And as you can see, the bill that's up there, and I want to say concerning this here postcard bill that's came out, there are people that misunderstands it, but whenever that I explain it to them, then they're fine with it. By sending out a postcard, it has saved the county over $6,000 in postage alone because we went to postcard. Now also, it took anywhere from a week and a half to 2 weeks before and under the old program to stuff envelopes, and about everybody in the courthouse available would always help to stuff those things. Well, this year, we was able, within 7 hours, to have all the coupons printed and put in the mail within 7 hours. Okay, so that was a huge success for us. Now, we knew in the meetings that we were having that there was going to be some glitches to the program where people would be things about this they did not understand. Now, the questions that was asked all day to me yesterday, number one was, why do I have a balance? Okay, if they did not pay their garbage bill in full last year, then they would have a balance coming forward. Now, there was some cases where people had paid and they still showed a balance. This new program was going back and pulling some of the interest from the old system, which there was so much clutter in that old system that we had to filter through in order to clear this up. But I would tell the people, if you have paid your bill in full, and if you can bring a receipt or whatever to show us, and we clear that up. It's a computer error in some cases. But while I'm talking about that one, I had an email that came, and I'd like to read that to you. And this is, the person said, please check my account and see if we did in fact forget to pay our bill for last year. It looks like we may have overlooked it. Let me know for sure as soon as possible, and I'll mail you a check for $310.25. Sorry for any inconvenience this may cause you. So I go back and checked, and in fact, the computer had made an error, and these people owes $170.50 for this year. So any time that they had a complaint, we would go back and check it thoroughly. Now, it's going to take a long time. We got 21,000 customers.
and you can't always say yes to everybody. There's going to be some feathers ruffled in changing on all this. So that was our number one question, that people just didn't understand the bill or there was an error. The second question is, what is the additional charges? I knew that was going to be a problem before we ever sent it out. But you can just put so much information on a postcard. And if you look down through there, it goes from January the 1st through September, and it gives each month. That additional charge is October, November, and December. It's not no penalty, it's no interest, nothing like that. It's just the last 3 months of this year is on that card. And whenever that I tell people that, they start laughing. Why in the world couldn't I figure that out? And it's all over with. Okay, so now that's why our phones was ringing off the hook. Why did I get a bill? That's the next question, as Judge Rutherford has already explained. I've never paid a bill in 15 years. Well, we had 1,500 people on zero rate. Come to find out, Judge, yesterday there's more than 1,500. There was these people had never received a bill. But under this new program, it went to billing everybody, okay? So they say I made a deal with a previous commissioner or a judge or whatever that I would not have to pay a garbage bill because I lived on a hill or down over a hill. I said there's no more zero rates. We've got 4 rates. If we bring solid waste with a balanced budget, or at least cut back on some of what you're having to subsidize, then we're going to have to enforce that. Now, if people don't like it, they don't like having to pay a bill, but it's not fair for everybody else to have to pay a bill, and these people don't. We even had a county employee that works on one of the road lots. I don't pay a garbage bill. I have never paid a garbage bill. I'm not going to pay no garbage bill. And I said, well, you may have a problem working with the county if you don't pay a garbage bill. They hang up on me. Okay? You're going to have those problems, but I got a pretty good shoulder. I can handle some of it if you all just back me. So those was our 3 biggest questions that we had. Is why did I get a bill? That's one. Those people gets mad at me now. I'll tell you up front, they get mad at me because they.
Well, they was upset. I got the calls all day yesterday.
Yes.
Because they had to pay a garbage bill.
Okay.
Heck, Hatch.
Yeah. Now I'd like to say that yesterday's business, as busy as we was, 1/3 of that business was done online for the first time. Those people did not have to come into the office, and it was done online.
One day.
Yes, there's a lot of glitches with this. We will work with people. I ask them to be patient. There's some things that we need to do better next year with, and we will work on that, continue to work on that. Now, over in the Phelps area, it's such a long ways over there. And I know that you had, Magistrate Dotson, you had a question about Jill not being in the office. I had to bring her over here to train her in this new program, and we've been about 8 or 9 months trying to do that. And so she's back over there. She's over there pretty much to stay, other than having to come over here to make her deposits or something of that manner. Belfry area, I owe them an apology. Those people over there, Magistrate Harris is telling me back up in line, waiting to pay, but where we're shorthanded in the office, we had brought Jennifer over here yesterday to answer phones and help us out. I have plans on sending her back over there tomorrow, and that she will be there the rest of the month, okay? So we're working on these problems, and we knew it was going to be a big thing. We knew there was going to be a lot of complaints from the people, but 99% of the people, when I explained to them this bill, everything's fine. There's no problem.
Bob, you're doing a good job. I have to say that you've made a lot of changes.
Mm-hmm.
But, we still have a long way to go.
Yes.
And my question was, in the beginning was, after we collect all the people, you just said there's probably over 1,500 that's never paid the garbage bill. We collect them, and you've collected a lot of the bills that were out there when you came.
Yes.
Why didn't we compile all them together and see if we needed this additional 75-cent raise?
If everybody in Pike County paid a $15.50 rate, if everybody, and everybody paid with what it takes to run solid waste, you would still not have money to buy trucks with to put on the road. I've done some research on that.
Mr. Dotson, we got $1.7 million in the red from our solid waste program. We are right to the point that we're almost 100% computerized now, from down about 10 or 12, 15%. And we're now moving those filing cabinets out where they've had all the paper. But so that's now the 1,500. Beyond that, we found apartments not paying, found people in trailer parks not paying. So the figure goes right on up, Magistrate Dotson.
That's what I was just saying. You know, we have picked up a whole lot of people that hadn't been paying. And, you know, I'm hoping he'll come out with a better number this year. And I understand, Bob, about equipment. You know, we deal with road equipment as well as you do solid waste equipment. That's why Frank's going to try to pick us up a truck. You know, they wear out. We got to replace them. And we just have to, it's a constant battle with equipment, trying to keep it going. And you have the same problem we do. And Jeff over at the garage, you know, he says everything's wore out. We're trying to keep it going. So, you know, I understand that. But you know, my point was, after we collect all this unpaid garbage bill and all the ones that we hadn't been getting from the trailer courts and apartments or whatever, you said there was one guy that had, what, 600 people that.
We had one like had 100, well, we had one apartment building, had 64 apartments, and nobody in it was paying a garbage bill. And so we had things of that nature that was going on. And this program has sent people bills that never had received a bill. I mean, it's things we would have overlooked. It's just doing so much for us, but it does have to be fine-tuned. There's a lot of work to be done to that. And like I say, you know, I do want to apologize to the people, but I ask them to be patient with us. And if they do have a complaint and they paid their garbage bill last year, we don't want them paying something they don't owe, and we'll work with everybody. But yesterday morning, we'd sent out over 21,000 postcards, and I think about evidently 20,000 of them must have called or showed up yesterday or tried to. But
I know we had people in the courthouse with their money in their hand wanting to pay their garbage bill, and they were lined up, and then you had a emergency to bring her back over here, and she didn't get to eat lunch either.
Right.
You know, she stayed busy all day.
yeah, when you explained to me the situation over there, I went ahead and told her to stay over there to take care of that.
I appreciate that. You know, we're on the back side of the county, isolated. People have to drive a long ways over here to get their things taken care of, but I think you handled it well, and you know, we'll just go on with it. Judge, one more thing, and then I'll quit.
ahead.
Our water situation, can you update us? We got some email from Mountain Water that we might be having some problems over in the Blackberry area.
We had problems in Blackberry again. Doug, you can bring us up to date. West Virginia, same situation over there, Magistrate Harris. But we had water stored, so we was in good shape, and we weathered that. Go ahead and give us an update.
Well, they basically had a shortage of water because West Virginia had turned the water off to that part of the county. But they got back to making water. It's all been restored, and the boil water advisories were lifted last night. So everybody should
We
be
asked
back
people
on
to
water.
conserve, the water district did, but they did have water in the storage tanks.
Yeah.
So all the board water advisories has been lifted for
Yeah.
Pike County?
They were lifted last night. All of them that were put on for that shortage were lifted last night.
Okay. Thank you, Judge.
Where we got our list from, I want to thank Mountain Water for sharing the information with us in regard to their customers, and 911, who picked up that little small percent at the end so we could get bills to people who had never been billed before. Magistrate Harris.
Yes, Judge, thank you, and just be very brief, and I want to address something that was in the newspaper this week, and I'm not going to do this on a regular basis. If I responded to everything that was in the newspaper, good or bad, we'd have to call special meetings to, every week to do it. But there's a continual attack on the court by Monk Sanders, Charles Monk Sanders, and it's a real unfortunate situation because we've been through this already once, and we've talked about, or I have talked about anyway, why I do not support giving any additional money to him or his, what he calls his charities. He says in the newspaper that he doesn't have any businesses and that he's a volunteer. And so, you know, back a year or so ago, we did an open records request on Mr. Sanders, and we found out, and I'm going to have copies of this available to anybody that wants to see it, and it'll be made a part of the record, so anybody in the public that wants to see it can come into court and ask for a copy and see the clerk. But the first thing I want to address is that his volunteer status. According to his tax returns for Hope for the year 2008, he was paid $10,400 in compensation from the organization. In 2009, it was $9,400. In 2010, it was $14,300. 2011, it was $6,750. So that's not really my idea of a volunteer when you're paying yourself out of the proceeds of your charity. Now that's according to his tax returns, and maybe I'm reading the tax returns wrong, but they'll be here for anybody to look at. And the funding that has been provided, you know, coal severance funds are to be used, or supposed to be used for economic development and improvements to your community. And Hope has been the recipient of quite a few coal severance grant allocations in the past. So in looking at their check detail for their grants, starting in 2007, January of 2007, you start noticing checks written on a weekly basis from Hope to PTN Computers. And the checks originally are in the amount of $800 per week. Okay, so January the 5th, $800. January the 12th, $800. January the 19th, $800. January the 26th, $800. And it goes through a tremendous 3-year cycle of payments that are made to PTN Computers and CCH Management out of this Hope account. And the total amount paid over those 3 years is $63,600. And if I remember Mr. Sanders correctly, when he was here, he said that those companies, that his son worked for those companies and taught computer classes there at the Hope building for $800 a week. Now, I'm sorry, son-in-law, might have been his son-in-law. But it was a family member that was employed. And in looking at that situation, to me, that doesn't smell right. Okay? And I'm not comfortable with that situation. So I said, I'm not going to vote to give any more money to Hope or his groups because I don't trust him and I'm not comfortable with the way that money is being spent. I don't feel like that's what coal severance money is supposed to be used for. So I wanted to clear that up and make it clear. And in addition to that, he said he doesn't own any business. These records show thousands upon thousands of dollars being spent with SFE Hardware, which is a hardware store that's run by Mr. Sanders. And I'm just not comfortable spending our coal severance money that way. Now, if the rest of the court is, you know, you can vote to give him the money. Me personally, I'm not comfortable doing that. So, you know, I wanted to clear that up. The records will be here for anybody that wants to look at them. They'll be made a part of the court proceedings today, and I'll be happy to answer any questions from the public or from anybody that has questions about my reservations in giving any more money to Monk Sanders and his charities. Thank you, Judge.
Need to go into closed session. There's the
I'll make a motion, we move into executive session pursuant to KRS 61-810.
A roll call vote, Madam
Mas-
Clerk.
Mr. Anderson, Mr. Johnson,
Yes.
Mr. Murphy,
Yes.
Mr. Robinson,
Yes.
Mr. Dodson,
Yes.
Mr. Harris.
Yes.
Judge Rutherford.
Yes. Motion to bring Pike County Fiscal Court back out into open session, please. We have a motion from Magistrate Murphy. Do I have a second? Magistrate Johnson, have a roll call vote, please.
Mr. Anderson,
Yes.
Mr. Johnson.
Yes.
Mr. Murphy. Mr. Robinson.
Yes.
Mr. Dodson,
Yes.
Mr. Harris.
Yes.
Judge Rutherford.
Yes. With Judge Case, who is, R. Roland Case is now a state judge, it ended up that the county attorney's office and my office, under the Kentucky statute, had to take certain action, and the fiscal court had to be on board to comply with the statute. So I want to announce that by executive order, I appointed Jim Pruitt, James Paul Pruitt, as the replacement for Judge Hayes, as the deputy judge. Judge Hayes, the county attorney, has hired him, and the court will take some action in regard to that. But first, Mr. County Attorney, we have to have, to comply with the statute, we have to give, of course, Mr. Pruitt, this court has to give him the right to sign everything that the county judge executive signed that needs to be signed, other than preside in this seat. He can do it all. Mr. County Attorney.
Thank you, Judge. It's been quite an honor to work with Roland. We've mentioned during we give him enough recognition during our last meetings, and with that, the continuation of government, as this document says, our fine clerk is tendered and handed to the judge, and the judge has forwarded over to me, does require an ordinance, and there's an ordinance here that I'll recite. And I've always appreciated this court allowed me the luxury that many counties don't have. County our size needs a little extra help. There's some counties in this state that only have 2,000 people, and they're about 10th our size. And those county attorneys have it pretty easy. But they do have to. They don't get to delegate much though. But our size of our county is especially an honor to have this situation. It states ordinance of Pike County Fiscal Court, whereas the Pike County Fiscal Court deems it necessary to provide for the orderly succession of office of county judge executive. In the event of absence or disability, the judge executive is defined in KRS 67.725. A vacancy of the office of judge executive will be filled in accordance with section 152 of our Kentucky Constitution, whereas the line of succession contained in this ordinance is to ensure that a county governmental official is available to serve in the absence or disability of the judge executive, the deputy judge executive, or any successor. Now therefore it be ordained by the Fiscal Court, Pike County, Kentucky, in section 1 will state, when the absence or disability of Pike County Judge Executive Wayne T. Rutherford shall prevent his serving in the office and performing the duties and responsibilities of the county judge executives, these duties shall be administered temporarily by the Deputy Judge Executive, James Paul Pruitt, Jr., set forth in KRS 67.730 and 67.735, and he shall have the powers specified in KRS 39.409. Furthermore, Section 2 is amended to if neither county judge nor the deputy county judge is able to serve in the office of county judge executive by reason of absence, disability, or vacancy, then the duties of the office of judge executive shall be assumed temporarily by a member of the Pike County Fiscal Court as set forth in KRS 67.740, KRS 67.745, and he shall have the power specified in KRS 39.409. There's a document here prepared for 6 magistrates to sign, with an approval also by Judge Wayne T. Rutherford, and a attestation by our fine Pike County Fiscal Court clerk.
Have a motion. Have a motion, have a second. Magistrate Johnson, have a roll call vote, please.
Mr. Anderson.
Yes.
Mr. Johnson.
Yes.
Mr. Murphy.
Yes.
Mr. Robinson.
Yes.
Mr. Dodson.
Yes.
Mr. Harris.
Yes.
Judge Rutherford.
Yes. Jeannie, would you get that original copy and see that every magistrate signs it before they depart? That's in the statutes, that they have to sign that, each one of them. The next is, Judge Hayes, you're going to handle the first. Go ahead with your regular personnel, please.
Judge, there were 4 items on the regular personnel agenda. The first was a mini packer driver, solid waste area number 1 at Johns Creek, a 3H rate of pay per hour. Only one bidder, judge, for that job, and I recommend, personnel recommends that Jerry Spears receive that job. The other 2 positions, Judge, were also mini packer driver, solid waste area number 1 at Johns Creek, and mini packer driver, solid waste area number 1 at Johns Creek, 2 other similar jobs, and we asked that be passed until the next court meeting. And Judge, as I understand, the consensus of the court is that those be rebid without the CDL qualifications when they are rebid. So that will be done. And finally, Judge, we had a Packer truck driver, solid waste area number 2 at Belcher, 3H rate of pay per hour. There were 3 bidders, 2 of whom, Judge, had cross-bid within the past 12 months. But Commissioner Bobby Mullins has requested that he be allowed to test these drivers to make sure that we get a qualified employee to drive that large Packer truck, and he will report back to the court at the next meeting. And it is therefore personnel's recommendation that we pass on that and give Commissioner Mullins a chance to test those 3. And Judge, that is the 4 regular matters. I believe there are 2 that you need to take up now.
That will be my recommendation. Next, we got to set the salary for the assistant county attorney, and that is set at that 0A rate of pay under the county code, and the effective date will be yesterday, I believe, first day of the pay period. And then the set for Jim Pruitt, the deputy judge, at 6A, and that was effective yesterday. And I don't know where Jim got by to fill out his forms, but Jeannie, you need to call him, and he was here yesterday, and he needs to get down and fill out his form. And that position, and also that position of the first one will save us $4,021.74. Second position, Jim Pruitt will save us $3,186.19 because of the years and longevity pays and so forth. So, Judge Hayes' assistant county attorney salary base plus longevity of Judge Hayes. And I'm going to have to, Judge Hayes, he'll be still here, but keeping me from calling him Judge Hayes, I'm going to have to practice Judge Pruitt. And I won't have to practice much because Judge Pruitt here was judge when I grew up. So, and a close personal friend, him and Mrs. Pruitt and the 2 boys of mine. That will be my recommendation and my motion. Do I have a second? I have a second, Magistrate Robinson. I have a second, Magistrate Robinson. Madam Clerk, have a roll call vote.
Magistrate Anderson?
Yes.
Magistrate Johnson?
Yes.
Magistrate Murphy?
Yes.
Magistrate Robinson?
Yes.
Magistrate Dodson?
Yes.
Magistrate Harris?
Yes.
Judge Reed?
Yes.
Judge, if I may.
Now,
I know we have treasurer's business. I just want to briefly thank the court and say to this court, it's just been such a pleasure over the past 7 years to work with you all. I've grown fond of every one of you. I think it's been a great court, and I'm not leaving. But I am moving my office down the hall, and I want to. Speaking of hall, I want to thank County Attorney Howard Keith Hall for the confidence he's expressed in me to hire me as his assistant to represent this court, and he has graciously agreed to provide me an office in the county attorney's office. So I will say to all the members of this court, I'll be there. You'll have my cell phone number. I'll have yours. And don't hesitate to call me day or night. And I hope that I will be just half of the county attorney that Roland Case was, but I know under the capable direction of Mr. County Attorney Howard Keith Hall, he'll keep me on the straight and narrow. Thank you, Judge.
Thank you, Judge Hayes. Now it's time for the Commissioner and Directors. Have we talked out today? Have you got anything you need to take up? And I'm going to get the treasurer. She wasn't in the seat when I looked there a while ago, and there she is. But you all go ahead if you got something to say, and then we'll get to the treasurer, and then head to a meeting in Lexington. Charles, you got something? Sold 2,000 tickets in a day and a half. Now how many have they sold? 4,000 tickets.
Judge, I'd like to ask Charles, when you buy these tickets, are you in a group or do you just sit wherever they tell you to sit? Like if you want to have a family. So if you buy 6 tickets for your family members, chances are you get to sit in the same coach.
Madam Treasurer.
Authorize any necessary transfers and interfund transfers to pay the bills, payroll, health, and life insurance.
Motion, Magistrate Robinson, to have a second. Have a second. Roll call vote, please.
Mr. Anderson, Mr. Johnson. Mr. Murphy. Mr. Robinson. Mr. Dotson. Mr. Harris. Judge Reefer.
Yes.
Acknowledge receipt of the previously approved transfers and interfund transfers for November 19th, 2013. Pass on the other two, and I'll have them ready at the next court meeting.
Do I have a motion? Got a motion, Magistrate Anderson. Have a second, Magistrate Murphy. Have a roll call vote, please.
Mr. Anderson, Mr. Johnson.
Yes.
Mr. Murphy. Mr. Robinson.
Yes.
Mr. Dotson.
Yes.
Mr. Harris. Judge Rutherford.
Acknowledge receipt of the treasurer's November 2013 financial statement and pass on the other two until the next court meeting get completed.
Do I have a motion? Got a motion. Have a second, Magistrate Robinson. Have a roll call vote, please.
Mr. Anderson, Mr. Johnson.
Yes.
Mr. Murphy.
Yes.
Mr. Robinson.
Yes.
Mr. Dotson.
Yes.
Mr. Harris.
Yes.
Judge Rutherford.
Yes.
Authorize the following checks and the amounts of: to Oxmoor Ford Lincoln Mercury, a 2007 F-350 pickup being purchased by Magistrate District 5 Road Account, $11,000. Verrills Creek Neighborhood Watch, when received, pass through this money from the co-severance of $976.54. Blake and Associates Incorporated, pass through NRCS money when received. Update appraisal for Charles Dingus Jr. property, $1,000. Update appraisal for William Ireson Jr. property, $1,000. Update appraisal for Jacqueline S. Clevenger Goff property, $1,000. Update appraisal for Roe Donald Boyd property, $1,000, for a total of $4,000 to Blake and Associates. Mullins Enterprises, NRCS pass-through when received on Millard Sloan's branch, $49,994.
Have a motion, Magistrate Murphy. Have a second. Second, Magistrate Dotson. Have a roll call vote, please.
Mr. Anderson. Mr. Johnson. Mr. Murphy.
Yes.
Mr. Robinson.
Yes.
Mr. Dotson.
Yes.
Mr. Harris.
Yes.
Judge Rutherford.
Yes.
Lately, we've been having tags stolen or lost, And Frankie can't go to the county court clerk's office and just get them unless he pays for them, because they have to have the money that day to be deposited or by the next morning. So we'd like to get a standing order to issue checks as needed to Lillian Pearl Elliott, county court clerk, for tags or replacement tags when needed.
Do I have a motion? Motion by Mr. Robinson. Do I have a second? Have a second. Have a roll call vote, please.
Mr. Anderson? Mr. Johnson?
Yes.
Mr. Murphy?
Yes.
Mr. Robinson?
Yes.
Mr. Dodson?
Yes.
Mr. Harris?
Yes.
Judge Brewer?
Yes.
Authorize the registration and lodging for those who wish to attend the Kentucky Magistrate and Commissioners Association Legislative Training Day and the Kentucky Association of Counties Legislative Reception, Thursday, February 20th, 2014, in Frankfort, Kentucky. I think there's like a $50 fee the KMCA charges if you go and sign up and go through the Legislative Training Day.
Do I have a motion? Motion by Mr. Murphy, second by Mr. Robinson. Madam Clerk, have a roll call vote.
Mr. Anderson? Mr. Johnson?
Yes.
Mr. Murphy? Mr. Robinson?
Yes.
Mr. Dodson?
Yes.
Mr. Harris?
Yes.
Judge Rutherford?
Yes.
I have one additional treasurer's business. Authorize the registration and lodging for Lori Goff and Jason Burke to attend the Kentucky Animal Care and Control Association Spring Training Conference, March 6th and 7th, 2014, at Natural Bridge State Park.
Do I have a motion? Motion by Mr. Anderson. Have a second. Second by Mr. Murphy. Have a roll call vote, please.
Mr. Anderson? Mr. Johnson?
Yes.
Mr. Murphy? Mr. Robinson?
Yes.
Mr. Dodson?
Yes.
Mr. Harris? Judge Rutherford?
I have no further business, Judge.
Okay. Mr. County Attorney, do you have anything else you need to take up today?
Yeah, I was gonna tell you, my first assistant when I came into this job was a fellow that was a circuit judge while I was in high school, Jeff Anderson, Magistrate Anderson's dad. And now the assistant is a guy that when I was in high school was state senator. And his son, John Hayes, was, of course, #1 in his class, I believe, at Princeton, was a good friend of mine in high school also. So be real good to these teenagers, because we might end up working with them or for them or something someday. So it's been a great honor to work with people that I've known for quite many years, and a distinguished group of people I've had the luxury. Judge, I think you was a judge when I was 8 years old, so I won't go into that. So thank y'all.
Anybody have any other statement or anything? If not, motion to adjourn. Have a motion, second. Have a roll call. Madam Clerk.
Mr. Anderson? Mr. Johnson? Mr. Murphy? Mr. Robinson? Mr. Dodson? Mr. Harris? Judge Rutherford?